my great pleasure to welcome you all to this 2 days hands-on workshop titled Building Equity, Assessing the Extended Inclusive Education Toolkit. We are honored by your presence here today as we come together to explore how inclusive education and emerging technologies, particularly generative AI, can contribute to equitable access to higher education in Bangladesh. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. Kindly keep your mobile phone silence. The workshop will be recorded. Our volunteer will capture photos. A permission form has been shared with you. Please sign on. Restroom facilities are available if you want to go, and tea and refreshment when we announce accordingly. Now, I am formally beginning this session. I would like to thank our special guest, Professor David J. Brown from Nottingham University, Ms. Maria Rahman from Deputy Director of the British Council, guest of honor, Professor Muhammad Kamrul Ahsan, Vice Chancellor of Jahangirnagar University, and our honorable guest, UGC Honorable Chairman, Professor Dr. Mamun Ahmed. It's my privilege to introduce our special guest, Professor David J. Brown from Nottingham University. Professor Brown is the project coordinator and a distinguished academic contributor significantly to inclusive education and international collaboration. May I now request Professor David J. Brown to deliver his speech.
So we're incredibly honoured to be here today, especially with the presence of so many important and special people interested in equity and inclusion and higher education. The project sponsored by the British Council in terms of the TNE Partnerships Exploratory Grants is Generative AI for Good. How do we use generative AI to widen access to tertiary education for disadvantaged, less privileged, and excluded communities and individuals in Bangladesh? I want to emphasize that this is a joint venture. We're not doing this by ourselves as Nottingham Trent University. We're working with trusted colleagues, friends from Jahangirnagar University, WEC, NTU, and KFU in Saudi Arabia too. So it's a joint effort. The core aim of our project was to significantly extend existing collaborations. We started this bid with an Erasmus Plus capacity building and higher education project. That was some 14 partners, €1 million, including Jahangirnagar, American International University, Bangladesh, and WET as well, to design an inclusive education toolkit. This was concrete guidelines, handy checklists, a whole database of assistive technology, open source tools for content creation, open source learning management systems, and a whole database of free and accessible assistive technology. What we want to emphasize is these resources have been brought together as a result of European projects, and they're free and open source to use. Now we're extending our network with our partners today via the generous grant from the British Council. And what we want to emphasize is design for all. If you follow the guidelines, it means that no matter what kind of student you might be supporting, somebody with a learning difficulty such as dyslexia, or somebody with a physical impairment, or a hearing impairment, or a sight impairment, or if you're socially, economically disadvantaged and you can't afford much for education, all our resources are open and open source, accessible learning resources, free for all. That's our core aim. We're incredibly honored to have Professor Dr. Mamoon Ahmed here today. I'm very welcome here you are today. And we want to understand and acknowledge the strengths of the UGC, which demonstrates clear strategic intent on equity and access, particularly strong leadership on women's safety, gender equity, and financial inclusion for disadvantaged students. Amazing. This is a timely opportunity to consolidate existing commitments into an inclusion strategy which really aligns with SDG 4, quality education, in terms of inclusion and equity and quality education and lifelong learning for all. So I want to recap on all the opportunities that the British Council grant, exploratory grant, has allowed us to do. This is actually our 4th workshop. The first, unbelievably, was a year ago here in Dhaka at the Intercontinental, capacity building, where we introduced academics to this very wide toolkit, this set of resources. Huge databases of assistive technology, concrete guidelines, so you can easily design your learning materials for people with learning difficulties, dyslexia, autism, or people with hearing and vision impairments. And also a whole range of other guidelines and projects for you to follow. Once we built capacity of the academics, we then moved in October to the introduction of the NTU Good Practice Guide, Learning, Teaching, and Assessment with Generative AI. We know most of the students in the UK are using generative AI, so we must do this ethically and sensibly and really support their critical thinking whilst using generative AI. We started with some do's and don'ts, ethical considerations of using generative AI, how students and staff too get the best out of generative AI, how you reference and understand and check references from generative AI, and acknowledging the limitations of generative AI. Then we always tried to have interactive sessions, so we broke all the participants into groups, and we considered the challenges and opportunities of using these guidelines for the Bangladesh context. So all of this was co-creation with the academics in Dhaka and Bangladesh too. Then we used those reflections in our next workshop so that we actually then focused on the co-development, applying the lessons we've learned to develop practical and context-sensitive guidelines for the ethical use of generative AI in Bangladesh. And we looked at personae. We looked at typical personae for students. It might be, I think we had one, Aisha, lived in a rural community with limited internet access, sharing a mobile device, and how we generate learning materials and affordances so that student can have access to digital learning materials. Then this is the impact workshop. We want to understand how useful you find the extended educational toolkit, the new modules on generative AI, and also Athena Swan, how we celebrate and recognize the achievements in women and higher education and tertiary education in Bangladesh. We've learned a lot from you. After all of these workshops we've held so far, the introduction workshop, introduction to the ethical use of generative AI, co-designing the guidelines, you have given us feedback. This feedback is then going to be presented to the British Council and disseminated for the ongoing adoption, tackling the barriers to adopting these kind of resources to produce a full an equitable landscape in Bangladesh. We know that there are resources and funding constraints, but we have great representation here from university leaders and the UGC as well, and it's important that we get together and understand what the limitations are. We know there's institutional and policy barriers. We know there are capacity and skills gaps, but it's our job to get together and train in the use of the Inclusive Education Toolkit. I hope many of you will become ambassadors for its use. So once you get to apply these guidelines and support your students so that they can enroll in university and have the same access to learning materials, you will then, as a practitioner, become a beacon for these accessibility guidelines, a champion, an accessibility champion, remembering all these resources are open source and free to use. We know there's challenges around personalization and language accessibility, but our partners here in Bangladesh have converted some of the toolkit into Bangla already. So the overall implication is the adoption of this toolkit to create equitable access and inclusion in higher education, include work on policy, capacity building of staff, targeted resourcing, and leadership endorsement. And that's part of what we're trying to do today. But you've already told us you think the adoption of this toolkit will influence curriculum, assessment, and delivery methods, and we can do this now. Curriculum design, our guidelines on generative AI, and guidelines for inclusive and accessible design. Support the redesign of your course content to be engaging, inclusive, and effective. If you design course content to be inclusive and engaging, students are going to find it much more effective. We have simple guidelines which help you, designed by the Home Office in the UK, and we've translated them here, to support people with low vision, people with hearing impairments, people with learning differences. We have many students in the UK with autism. They do very well in computer science. So you can easily follow these checklists and design specifically for those students, or use our universal design for learning principles and web content accessibility guidelines. So we're not saying we're targeting only students with disabilities. This is designed for all. If you have multiple forms of representation in your course materials, not just text, interactive experiences, graphics, assistive technology, everybody can access. Everybody can be included in higher education. And students from marginalized communities or from disadvantaged communities then go on to remain in higher education and go on to employment, which is good economically for the country too. And assessment practices, we had a lot of discussion around this. Let's test students on what they know, not on the barriers to express what they know. So for instance, for students with a physical impairment, let's not rely on lots of text to try to understand what they do know. And we talked about impact, and after all, this is the idea of this workshop. We asked you all, how would you measure the impact of the Inclusive Education Toolkit extended by the funding of the British Council? And they were talking about, does it really reflect in policy making? And that's something I'd love to have more discussion around. Because if we can look at how individual universities or national bodies recommend and endorse the adoption of the toolkit, then we can go to system level change. Curriculum design, improved digital platforms. We know, talking to my colleagues from Jahangir University, we can use Moodle platforms, but you can use Google Classroom. That was accelerated during the pandemic with guidance from the UGC. we can increase student attention and engagement. Not only do we use alternatives to text, we have many educational tools based on AI. Based on some of the work by Professor Mufti Mahmood, we're looking at engagement tools, simple cameras, multimodal data. We can tell how engaged students are in learning, which might be useful for teachers with limited resources to direct your attention to those in greatest learning need, or the students themselves can build up a pattern of what really engages them. That's just one example. There are many opportunities for educational technology using AI. And access, equity, and retention. We're not just giving guidelines on how to create digital training materials, but onto the physical accessibility of the campuses. And I've had 2 indications of time. I'm not going to go into this too much because that's going to be the future session. We're going to take you through the final toolkit. We're going to then take you through our new generative AI guidelines in the following sessions. We're going to take you through the Race and Athena Swan, celebrating women's achievements in higher education, following on from all of your guidelines, sir, as well, and celebrating. That's the schedule. It's been a complete pleasure over the last 3-4 years working with my colleagues in Bangladesh, and I'm looking forward to many more fruitful engagements and visits to Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Brown, for your insightful word on inclusive education. Before going to the next speech, I would like to say sorry to our honorable special guest, Professor Dr. Abdur Rahman, Pro-Vice Chancellor of American International University. I forget your name on that session. I hope you will take my sorry. Now, it's our honor to have our profound honorable chief guest, as Professor Dr. Mamun, UGC chairman, has another important meeting at the same time on another location. So I would like to invite Professor Dr. Mamun Ahmed. He is a distinguished academic and administrator with extensive experience in higher education leadership, policy development, institutional governance in Bangladesh. Prior to his current role, he served in key academic and administrative positions, contributing significantly to the advancement of quality education, research, international collaboration in the country. His visionary leadership continues to play a vital role in shaping inclusive and equitable education in Bangladesh. So now I would like to invite our honorable chief guest, Professor Dr. Mamun Ahmed, Chairman of UGC Grants Commission of Bangladesh. Sir, please.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Chair of the event, distinguished guests, representatives from British Council, respected colleagues from different private and public universities of Bangladesh, international partners, and dear participants. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to you all. It is both an honor and privilege to be present here today at this important workshop on building equity, assessing the extended inclusive education toolkit. I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to the organizers for bringing together such a distinguished group of experts, educators, and policymakers to address one of the most pressing challenges of our time, and that is ensuring equity and inclusion in higher education and technical and vocational education and training. I'd also like to acknowledge the valuable support of British Council's Transnational Education Initiative and the Going Global Partnership Program. Their continued commitment to fostering international collaboration plays a crucial role in advancing innovation and inclusivity in education system worldwide. We are pleased to have with us eminent experts and scholars from renowned institutions, including Nottingham Trent University, King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, American International University, Bangladesh, Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology, BUET, and Jahangirnagar University. Their collective expertise will undoubtedly enrich the discussions and outcomes of this workshop. Dear colleagues, in today's rapid evolving world, education is not merely about access. It is about equitable access, meaningful participation, and successful outcomes of all learners, regardless of their background or abilities. Inclusivity in education is no longer optional, it is imperative. It is imperative for sustainable development and social justice. Dear participants, the Extended Inclusive Education Toolkit represents a significant step forward in addressing these challenges. By integrating inclusive pedagogy, ethical AI adoption, and policy-aligned practices, this initiative offers a comprehensive framework for transforming our educational system into more equitable and responsive environments. In Bangladesh, we have made commendable progress in gender parity at primary and secondary level. However, this success is often and very often lost at the higher education level. For female students, especially those from rural areas, face safety risks and gendered restrictions on mobility. For students with disabilities, this scenario is more challenging. As policymaker and educator, it is our shared responsibility to bridge these gaps and ensure that no learner is left behind. Workshops like this serve as vital platform for knowledge exchange, critical reflection, and collective collaborative problem solving. Over the next 2 days, I encourage all participants to actively engage in discussions, share experiences, and explore innovative strategies that can be adapted to our local contexts. Dear all, as we reflect on the future of equitable inclusive education, it is essential to recognize the transformative role of artificial intelligence. At the University Grants Commission, we are actively working to adopt a comprehensive and forward-looking AI policy framework for higher education in Bangladesh. Our vision is to ensure that artificial intelligence is not only adapted, but adapted responsibly, ethically, and inclusively. To this end, University Grants Commission has undertaken several key initiatives. First, we are in the process of developing a national AI policy framework for higher education, which will guide universities in the ethical use of artificial intelligence in teaching, learning, research, and administration. Secondly, we are integrating artificial intelligence for inclusive education as a core priority. Third, the University Grants Commission is promoting capacity building and training programs for teachers and academic leaders, aiming to equip educators with knowledge and skills required to effectively integrate artificial intelligence into pedagogy. Fourth, we are encouraging research and innovation in artificial intelligence and education. And finally, we are working towards establishing institutional guidelines and quality assurance mechanisms to ensure that artificial intelligence integration aligns with the national education goals and global best practices. Ladies and gentlemen, the success of this initiative will not be measured solely by discussions that we are doing here, but by the actions we take afterwards. Let this workshop inspire concrete steps toward policy reforms, institutional changes, and classroom innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude and before I close, I want to make some remarks in Bangla. Sitting in this room, বাংলাদেশে একটা স্টার হোটেলে বসে আসুন আমরা কল্পনা করি একটা মেয়ের কথা, যে মেয়েটা বসবাস করে গ্রামের প্রত্যন্ত গ্রামের একটা ঘরে। মেয়েটা talented and very ambitious. The problem is she's suffering from physical challenges. She's physically challenged. বাংলাদেশের প্রাইমারি অ্যান্ড সেকেন্ডারি এডুকেশন সিস্টেমস তাকে সুযোগ করে দিয়েছে প্রাইমারি এবং সেকেন্ডারি এডুকেশন পর্যন্ত শেষ করতে। বাট এই মেয়েটি, এই মেধাবী মেয়েটি সেখানেই বসে থাকতে চায় না, সে আরও সামনে যেতে চায়। সে জানে সে যদি হায়ার এডুকেশন অ্যাচিভ করতে পারে, যদি হায়ার এডুকেশন সিস্টেমে সে যদি ইন্টিগ্রেটেড হতে পারে, তাহলে সেটা তাকে শুধু ইকোনমিক্যালি না, সোশ্যালি তাকে এম্পাওয়ার্ড করবে। তাই সে হায়ার এডুকেশন নিতে চায়। কিন্তু যে দি হায়ার এডুকেশন সিস্টেম দ্যাট উই আর হ্যাভিং রাইট নাও, এটা তাকে সেই সুযোগটা করে দেয় না। সে চায় সে নিজে যেসব সোশ্যাল, ফিজিক্যাল অ্যান্ড মেন্টাল চ্যালেঞ্জের মধ্য দিয়ে আছে, সেগুলো ওভারকাম করে হায়ার এডুকেশন নিয়ে এদেশে কন্ট্রিবিউট করতে না নিজের ফ্যামিলিকে, কন্ট্রিবিউট করতে চায় নিজের সোসাইটিতে। কিন্তু আমরা তাকে সে সুযোগ করে দিতে পারি না বর্তমান সিস্টেমে। But now we have technology, especially artificial intelligence. With the help of this technology, let us transform the education system so that this girl can really contribute. তার যে স্বপ্ন, সেই স্বপ্ন যাতে বাস্তবায়ন করতে পারে। সেও একদিন যাতে ডাক্তার হতে চায়, যদি সে ডাক্তার হতে চায়, ডাক্তার হতে পারে, ইঞ্জিনিয়ার হতে পারে, প্রফেসর হতে পারে, সায়েন্টিস্ট হতে পারে, আর আপনার আমার মতো এরকম 5 স্টার হোটেলে বসে ডিসকাস করতে পারে। থ্যাংক ইউ, খোদা হাফিজ, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Thank you, sir, for your visionary words. Sir, I would take only 5 minutes. As sir is going to the another meeting, so sir is leaving his meeting. So I'd like to invite David to hand over a honor of appreciation, a crest, to Professor Mamun Ahmed. So thank you. Okay. Thank you everyone for your patience. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Maria Rahman, Deputy Director of British Council. Her contribution towards education development and international partnership are highly commendable. So may I request Ms. Rahman to share her valuable marks, please.
Thank you very much. Is this clear? Brilliant. Although he's left, I'd just like to acknowledge the distinguished chairman, UGC, Dr. Mamun Ahmed, Dr. Kamrul Ehsan, Vice Chancellor, Jahangirnagar University, Dr. David Brown, Nottingham Trent University, Professor Dr. Abdul Rahman and Mr. Mashur Rahman, American International University. Good morning, everyone, especially, of course, valued guests and participants of this workshop, and welcome to today's workshop on inclusive education and generative AI for good. It's a pleasure to be here today with the senior leaders, academic partners, policymakers, and practitioners from the UK and Bangladesh to reflect on a shared priority: widening access to tertiary education for communities that are disadvantaged, underrepresented, and all too often excluded. The British Council deeply values its ongoing partnership with the UGC, and the Chairman's presence here reflected our shared commitment to strengthening quality, inclusion, and innovation in the sector. The workshop represents the culmination also of a focused and collaborative journey Through strong transnational education partnerships, we have explored how generative AI, when applied responsibly and ethically, can support inclusion, learning, remove barriers, and strengthen higher education systems rather than deepen existing inequalities. So on behalf of the British Council, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to our lead partner, Nottingham Trent University, and our valued collaborators, Jahangirnagar University, BUET, AIUB, and the wider network of institutions and organizations whose dedication and collaboration have made this initiative possible. This initiative reflects the UK's evolving vision for international education with a stronger focus on transnational education to deepen global partnerships. Through the UK International Education Strategy, there's a clear ambition to build long-term collaboration between UK and Bangladesh institutions, aligning education with future skills and the responsible use of technologies, such as artificial intelligence. So the British Council plays a connecting role in enabling these partnerships. We're not AI experts. We support collaborative delivery and shared innovation. And together, these efforts show how education partnerships between the UK and Bangladesh can drive skills development, inclusion, and shared prosperity. So this year, we're pleased to see important progress through our T&E grant partnerships, including partnerships between the University of Portsmouth and ULAB, Canterbury Christ Church University and BUET, Nottingham Trent University with the University of Dhaka, Faculty of Business Studies, and Cardiff University with North South University. Very excited about where those partnerships will go. These partnerships demonstrate the depth, the maturity, and the growing impact of UK-Bangladesh collaborations in higher education. And over the course of today and tomorrow, this workshop offers a space to assess impact, exchange learning, and importantly, to look ahead. The insights generated here will help to inform future partnerships, policy conversations, and sustainable scaling of inclusive education initiatives. So I encourage all participants to engage critically and openly. The success of this work depends not only on innovation, but on leadership, on collaboration, and long-term commitment. So thank you for being a part of this project, and I wish you all a productive and impactful workshop. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Rahman, for your inspiring words. Now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Abdul Rahman, Pro-Vice Chancellor of American International University, AIUB, to deliver his speech. Sir.
Well, thank you very much, honorable dignitaries, the honorable session chair of today's program, and special guests, the project team, as well as all the participants. Good morning. And we are really happy from AIUB to be here, to be part of this project. In fact, I am really privileged to let you know that last time from the British Council, in Bangladesh, 5 projects has been approved or awarded, and among them in 2 projects, AIUB was partner. In fact, we already finished one of our projects with the Birmingham City University, and this is the second project with the Nottingham Trent University. And so this is the culture that we have been practicing at AIUB. Now we are giving focus mainly on the research. And in fact, education is also a very thrust sector in Bangladesh. In fact, we are going through a transition. Our UGC chairman was here, and with the initiative of the UGC, and the OB, outcome-based education, has been included in our curriculum. So we are going through a transition there. And all our teachers and others, they are using the hybrid learning mode. We have created some hybrid learning mode environment at AIUB, where all the students and teachers are trained on that. So I believe that such tool, where inclusive and equity-based learning tool will be very useful for us. And we have been having lots of grants from the foreign. We already did some partnership with Australia. We had one project with the European Union as well, where we have been working to develop the curriculum of sustainable tourism. And on our other project on the T&E, we have developed the curriculum or modules on the digital twin, like Industry 5.0, that is also upcoming. So on that project, we already successfully have finished that. Some paperworks are remaining. That's, I think, will be done very soon by June. And there, we have trained more than 100 students and professionals who are already working on the different industries and others. And we let them know what is coming. Like the world already, maybe in the UK, we have seen that UK and others, they have already transited to that, Industry 5.0 technology others, but we are going toward that. So that is, I think, the main objective of this such collaboration, to transfer the knowledge and the technologies together. And the main challenge, what we believe in this education tool to provide the equity is, when we talk about the disability, is the spectrum is so huge, and everybody has their own necessity. So the challenge, and the team has been working a very, I know from my heart, all of them, and I know that how hardworking they are, and they have delivered a wonderful thing for the country. We believe that. So from here, what we want to take is, we would like to set up one center of excellence at AUB on the education technologies for the inclusive education and provide the equity and take it further. Take it further with that. So the collaborators, everybody, we invite you to come to our campus, and we can set it up. We can set it up. That is our priority now, to how to improve it, how to bring more people under the umbrella. And in our infrastructure, we have a very beautiful campus in Dhaka city. In our infrastructure, all our buildings and everything is actually disabled friendly. So every corner, in fact, we have a annex building that is 2-storied. We installed a lift over there, elevator over there, only for the disabled access and others. So every corner of the campus is disabled friendly at AIB campus. So we'll be really happy to get some toolkit or get some LMS system where we can include everybody. On top of that, we provide scholarships, we provide waiver, tuition fee waiver to the special need people and others. So this kind of activity we have been doing. We have been doing this, so we are really interested to adopt such tool in the university environment and carry out the research on this. I think there are some cultural inclusion has been done, and if we can contribute more in the future and carry it on the next level, we are really interested from AIB for that. So thank you very much for inviting me here. We are really looking forward to a great future on the education technology and the toolkit development for the country and for the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rahman, for a wonderful contribution in these initiatives. And now comes to the conclude session. I would like to invite our honorable guest of honor, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kamrul Ahsan, Vice Chancellor of Jahangirnagar University, to give his inspiring words and closing remarks on these sessions. Sir.
Respected colleagues, guests, dignitaries of stage, and two contributors on the right, organizers, it is a great pleasure for me to be part of the opening ceremony of this important 2 days hands-on workshop titled Building Equity, Assessing the Extended Inclusive Education Toolkit. I would like to sincerely thank the organizers for bringing together such a distinguished group of academics, policymakers, and international partners to discuss one of the most pressing issues of our time, equity in higher education. I especially think I can see names on this page. Our Honorable Chairman, University Grant Commission, who has already left for another meeting, Professor Dr. Mamun Ahmed. I'd like to thank Professor Dr. Brown, David Brown from Nottinghamton University. I also like to include few other names, and the list includes especially Maria Rahman, Deputy Director, Bangladesh British Council, Dean in Charge, Faculty of Science and Technology, AIUB, Muhammad Mushir Rahman, and Vice Chancellor of AIUB, Professor Dr. Abdur Rahman. And also, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks for coming here, Professor Dr. Mufti Mahmood, KF UPM, Saudi Arabia, and Nicholas Shopland, NTU, United Kingdom. Well, I'm a student of ethics. Most of the stuffs are covered by other presenters, I know. My point is, the theme of this workshop is both timely and essential. There is no doubt about that. As higher education systems evolve, the role of generative AI is becoming increasingly significant. Of course, it offers us a unique opportunity to extend access, personalized learning, and reduce long-standing inequalities in our education system. However, I repeat, however, it also challenges us to ensure that technology is used responsibly, ethically, and inclusively. Well, this point is covered by Professor Brown, and I enjoyed that interpretation. But as a student of ethics, I would like to add some other points to that list. Well, ethical concerns of AI focus on, bias, privacy, accountability, and safety. Key issues include biased algorithms that discriminate, and especially black box problem limiting transparency, job displacement, massive data privacy violation, environmental cost of training models, and the creation of harmful deepfakes, necessitating strong human oversight and robust governance. I have students at higher level who have produced a beautiful thesis paper, articles for comments and suggestion. I have gone through all the works, but I became so astonished because I'm almost ignorant about this technology. It was so nicely written, so nicely composed, and so thoughtful. When I started discussing this issue with them, I found they were lost. Then I started thinking, what happened actually? They said they took support from online. They did not mention this very technology, AI. So, dealing with hard copies involves making you go to the bookshop or library, asking them for the required books, and also it needs your cognitive capacity that will make a list which books are really essential. But when you just push a button, writing just 1 or 2 words, and get a complete assignment, that is quite harmful for me. For me, we need to focus on that. Technology, of course, is essential. We need to have equitable access to technology. There is no doubt about that. But misuse of technology can spoil the whole attempt, measure, initiative. So for me, in our country, We are lagging behind, you all know that. I'm not ashamed of acknowledging this limitation, never. What I want is some brilliant student who are self-made, those who have self-respect. Education is not just achieving a certificate, scoring marks, and achieving a job. We have experienced that talented guys are not sustainable guys. You remember Benazir and Motiur. In the previous regime, we saw so talented guys. They are lost. Without ethical enlightenment, knowledge is meaningless. Merit is meaningless. When I saw students fighting for removing quota system, they said it is merit that overrides everything. I said, no, this is not all. Merit with moral enlightenment are equally important. So AI, of course, is essential. Today, I'm almost ignorant, especially relating to the issues relating to this AI. I just wrote 2 words on mobile, and it gives me a nice piece for me. And I have gone through while I was coming to join this session. I thought it's so easy. Of course it is very important. So my suggestion or request or understanding is that we need AI solution, but that should fits in. We need to understand our level. It is not United Kingdom. That students are well equipped, morally committed, most of them, and blessed. Our boys are struggling. They have thousands of problems. So if they can save few hours from their day, they use that to earn money, to see mothers, to go home, to fight against other odds. And then they use as less as possible their time for education. AI then could be a curse. Of course, today's session will cover this ethical context and will supply our students a method that really help us in the way so that they become enlightened both in terms of knowledge and morality. I really thank again you all for inviting me to this session, and I hope today's workshop session will help our experts to disseminate this knowledge at their respective institutions, and it will have a cumulative effect on our colleagues and students in the future. Having said that, let me give an end to my speech. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for your very concern on ethical issues on AI development and on this sector. And it's a concurrent measurement should be taken by this initiative. Before we conclude these sessions, I would like to invite Professor Kamrul sir to give some token of honor to our project contributor, international partners. And also I would like to Ms. Rahman and Mohammad Abdur Rahman sir to come here to deliver the crest to our international partners. Sir. So I would like to call Professor David J. Brown from Nottingham Trent University. Thank you. Nick Sopland from Nottingham Trent University also. And very important international collaborator, Professor Dr. Mufti Mahmood from King Fahad University, sorry. Thank you. And now I would like to call Professor David to distribute the crest to our honorable guest and special guest also. First, Professor Kamrullah Hassan sir. Second, Ms. Maria Rehman, Deputy Director of British Council. Mr. Mashur Rahman, Dean, Faculty of Science and Technology, American International University of Bangladesh. And finally, Professor Dr. Mohammad Abdur Rahman, sir. And I'd like to stay here for our international, for our guest, for distribute the crest for our local partners also for these initiatives. Professor Mohammad Saiful Islam sir from Bangladesh University of Engineering and Technology. Professor M. Shamim Kaiser from Jahangirnagar University. Professor Shamim Kaiser from Jahangirnagar University. And especially for Professor Dr. Mustafizur Rahman from American International University of Bangladesh. So a group photo from our all local partners and international collaborators. Please come here for a photograph. And I would like to all, if you want to take a photograph with our special and honorable guest, please come forward. A small photograph, please come. All the participants, please.